let me not share it for now. I think everyone has the syllabus, I hope.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I hope everyone has a syllabus. Yes. Okay, then I think we can just go on with it, right? I'll just keep on talking, and then if you have any questions, of course, after maybe around 20 minutes, we will have a short time of
Sir,
discussion.
we need
Yes. Hello.
syllabus photocopy.
Oh, you
Syllabus
don't.
photocopy, sir. We need.
Oh, you don't have it yet. Of course, the office will give it to you, but then
Yes,
okay,
sir.
let me just share my screen.
Okay,
Then
sir.
I'll display it on the screen. Um, I hope you can see this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. And then I need to see you also because I don't want to talk to the screen by myself. So let me see you as well. Okay. Now, the course is quite simple, right? As you can see, there are just 4 main divisions of the syllabus. The introduction is where we tackle with the different terms like communalism, quite clear, fundamentalism, and then in the third point we can also see nationalism coming in as well. I will explain some of the definitions after I introduce the course. Okay, I'm just giving an overview of the syllabus. And then secondly, it's quite simple as well. Third, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist. Now, I think most of you are more experienced than me, especially when it comes to um, having friends with people of other faiths, right? When it comes to Islam, Hinduism, even Buddhist as well, right? Even Jains as well. I think you have experiences in your workplace because most of you, as I can see, are more, let's say, especially when it comes to age, you are more experienced than me. So be prepared to share something of your own experience, maybe in your workplace, maybe at home, maybe in your society. There you can share something when we come to the second and the third topic. And in the fourth, there we can focus something on how we can reflect, how we will bring peace within the society by using the biblical verses, or not just the biblical verses, right? As a Christian, how can we help? How can we help, or how can we bring harmony in this society? That's how we will look, or we will focus into, right? It's very simple. Communalism, fundamentalism, we will look something into nationalism as well. And after that, how it happened, why it happened, when it happened, right? We will look into all those. Now, let me focus more on the objectives. To make students understand the nature and characteristics of communalism and fundamentalism. Okay, wait. Let me stop sharing the screen for now because it's disturbing for me. I will share it again later when you have any question. Okay. Let me just adjust this. Oh, I forgot to maximize this. Now you are all upgraders, right? So I think there is not much of a problem. Wait. How many of you were there? 9 of you were there. Okay. 8 actually. Okay. I think so. Everyone is working, right? Can you just tell me if anyone is working? I think our Sir David Selvaraj is working that I know.
Winter.
Yes. And then okay. Golda Ajit is working. Everyone is working, right? Is anyone within the church, or
Yes, sir.
everyone is in the secular work, right? Having their government jobs? Because I need to know your background when I explain this.
Yuvraj pastor.
You are a pastor.
Yuvraj pastor. I am doing.
Okay, okay. Hello, pastor. Yes, nice to
Yuvraj
meet you.
pastor.
Then that's really good. Okay, okay. Then we will just go on for now. Now, whenever I let's say we have only 2 hours, right? Usually we have maybe around 2 weeks for this course, and then it's 3 classes in a week. So at least we used to have 14 hours or 18 hours for this class. Now we have only 2 hours for this class. So let's say it in a bit more exam oriented, right? Firstly, whenever I answer a question in my exams or whenever I teach, the first thing I used to focus is what, right? What is it? What is this subject? Or let's say our focus will be communalism and fundamentalism, right? So when you answer a question, what is the first thing that comes in mind? What is communalism, right? What comes first? And then when? When did it start, right? When did it start? And why did it start? What comes? When? Why? And how, right? How did it start? And after that, you can imply, you can give the reflection and all. Maybe from a Christian perspective, maybe a pastor will give a good reflection from the Bible, and some government workers will give very good practical implications or reflection from their workplace, right? That's it, right? It's quite simple. What is communalism? Why is communalism? When is communalism? When did it start? How did it start? And what is the impact in the society? What is the impact in the church? What is the impact in your family? What is the impact in your life, right? If you focus on those points, not just for the exam, whenever you read something, whenever you do something, whenever you work, I think it will always be very, very helpful for you. Okay. Okay. Now we will look into the definitions. What is it? Now, I said what, right? Communalism. What is communalism? If we look ourselves in this video, in this Zoom, now I can see 4 of you, including me, that means 5. Community. We belong, or we come from a very different community, right? Just from the looks, I can tell that you're different from me. I'm different from you. We are not the same. Now, but when we speak of communalism, communalism is when I feel that my kind of people are better than you. It's quite simple. There, I have a very long notes for you actually. Even just for communalism, it comes around 2-3 pages. So you'll be able to focus more on that. Now, India itself is quite complicated, right? There are people from the southern part of India, they look different. The northern part of India, they look different. The northeastern part of India, we look different again. So now, when we say, what is community? What is a community? Simply a community is just where I was raised up, right? Where I am. If I was raised in a South Indian community, in a way, that is my community, right? But there are divisions which humans make, even when it comes to community. What kind of community? Is it a Christian community? Is it a rich community? Is it a religious community where you're from, right? So there are different communities which we can distribute again. So what the main focus which usually people, when religious extremists, right, when they have a problem with community, they try to bring out something which is wrong in a certain community. Now you may read about several communal problems within northeastern part of India, right? When it comes to division of land, we have a problem, right? There should be some tribal fights and all among the people of northeast as well. Now, what is the main problem between India and Pakistan now? India and China. Usually, why do we fight? Do we fight because Pakistan is claiming that Delhi belongs to them? No. It's always the borderline, right? Because that separates their community from our community. Geographical communalism is also there, right? Within the people, we divide not just on our looks, not just on the amount of money you have, on the basis of religion which you follow. Not just that, there is a geographical communalism as well, right? India and China, our main problem, we are fighting for the land right now, because long back, let's not mention names here, our ancestors did not make the boundaries so well. Even when it comes to Pakistan, right, during the division, um, I think you are all upgraders, so that means you already did a study in theology, right? So I think, have you heard of the true nation theory? I think you might have studied that in MRSM, or major religious traditions of India. True nation theory. Okay, let me just mention something of that. I might not know so much because that was long back. True nation theory was, the British came at first, right? Of course, not just the British, different Westerners, they came, and Indians at first, they just lived their lives. Of course, there was some problem between them, especially the Muslims and the Hindus, right? So many wars were going on. But then, when the Westerners, they came, what was their tactic? What was their way of ruling India? Their way of ruling India was divide and conquer, right? If the Muslims fight on their own, they could not defeat the Westerners. If the Hindus fight on their own, they could not defeat the Westerners. Again, and because the Hindus are quite big, again within the Hindus, what do we find? Caste system is there again, right? And even the Westerners, they respect the Indians depending on the caste where they belong. Even for the educated Hindus, depending on where they are from, depending on the caste which they belong. So they were using that divide and rule policy, right? So at first, the Congress and the Muslims in a way were fighting together. They want independence from the Western power. But even among the Indians itself, because of the ideology given by the British, they keep thinking that my community, a perfect independent India, the way the Congress people, maybe not everyone, but majority of the Congress were Hindus, right? Even Jinnah, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, if you can keep that in mind. It's not in the notes for this one, okay? It's not in the notes. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, he was I think he was the second president of the Muslim League after Muhammad Iqbal. Muhammad Iqbal, you have studied those characters. After Muhammad Iqbal, he was the president of the Muslim League. At first, Jinnah did not want independence from India. No, he was simply fighting against the British. He was fighting for a better India. He was fighting for an educated India. Okay, at first he did not want to separate India and Pakistan. Never. At first he was actually against the Muslim League. He said that Muslims should abide by the law, should respect India as their motherland, and fight for it. That's what he was fighting for. But 1857 was Sepoy Mutiny. That was the first struggle of India for their independence, right? But they failed. Even the Congress did not do their part well. But the Muslims were fighting so much that the British did not trust the Muslims anymore after that. So even this Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Mr. Jinnah, he was fed up, because he believed that if the British, if this Western power leaves India, there would be chaos, there would be slaughter. The Muslims will be killed. The Muslims, if they are not killed, they would not be given any more opportunities in the office. That's what they thought. That's what he thought. At first, he was just fighting for a better India. Now he was fighting for his community, right? He was fighting for his community. Now let us think in this way. When we speak about community, now for the president of India, if a North Indian or a North Indian is the candidate, and if one South Indian is the candidate, and I'm from Mizoram, right? And if a Mizo candidate is there, who will you vote, right? Sometimes we vote on the basis of our community. The South Indian guy is more educated than the Mizo guy. More educated. He is more qualified also. He has more experience. But the Mizo guy he's from my own community, right? I want him to be there. Maybe to promote my community. Maybe to have better roads in my state, right? I want that. That itself is communalism. Thinking that I am better than you, or not, maybe not necessarily thinking that I'm better than you, but wanting to promote myself even though it is not fair, or even though it is not right, even though I am less educated than you, if I still want to promote myself, the one who should be here, just because he is from my place, I want to put him here. So that itself, in a very, very simple way, is communalism. And personal problem, there is a personal problem, right? If I want to put my community higher. But that is not my fault, because the divide and rule policy was used long back by our oppressors, especially the people from the West. The Westerners were the first to use the divide and rule policy, especially when it comes to India, because India is rich, especially when it comes to diversity, when it comes to language, when it comes to ethnicity as well. We are all different, right? But if I want to put myself, my community higher than you, even though I am less worthy of it, then there comes the problem of communalism. But that's exactly what they were using, caste system, right? Even among the Hindus, they could not unite themselves because there were so many caste distinction among them. Only the Brahmins, especially the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas, were given more office in the government. So even if a Dalit guy, even if a Shudra person complains about something, about their community, about how they disrespect the Hindu community, the Brahmins see those people as not as a fellow Hindu, but as people of other caste, people of other community, right? Even when it comes to India, as long as the ruling party views something from their, let's say, their religious point of view, even when their political view is manipulated by the community where they are from, it will never work, right? Because community is very important even when it comes to Karl Marx, right? Now, religion, who created religion? You, I, right? We created religion. Humans created religion. That's true. But religion directs us. Religion, that means, okay, forget about the religion. How can I have this personality? How do I speak English? Why do you speak English? You're an Indian, right? Do you speak Hindi? You may not speak proper Hindi. I don't speak proper Hindi, but somehow I speak English. How? From how I was raised up, right? Society plays a very important role on your way of thinking. So if your community is quite biased when it comes to religion, when it comes to facial differences. If you yourself, if your family, and the problem sometimes is experience again, right? If your family has a bad experience of a North Indian guy, of a Northeastern guy, of a South Indian, maybe auto wala, then they would just say, these South Indian people, they try to keep on trying to take extra money from you, right? Because I spend most of my time outside Northeast India. Most of my time was spent in North India. I was there in Allahabad, and then Serampur, and then Vishakhapatnam, and then sometimes in Delhi, and then Himachal. I keep going around, I keep moving around. So if I was to judge the South Indian people from maybe from one experience, then my community is way better than yours, right? But if you come to my place, and if you have a bad experience, and if that bad experience molds your way of thinking, if it molds your thinking, then it molds your family. Because that is what you will inherit to your sons and your daughters. That thinking, right? That communal feeling will be there. So mostly it starts with you, inside you. I have given some names of Abdul Ahmed, Asak Ali Engineer, Moin Sakir, how they define this communalism. So you can read on to that later. But one very important point is, communalism is a political doctrine which makes use of religious and cultural differences to achieve political ends, right? That's a definition I gave it in the note. You don't have to worry. And then even Ali Engineer said that it is an instrument in the hands of the upper caste to concentrate power by dividing people. That is quite a very valid point. Now in a way we've mentioned the what, right? If we mention when communalism, when did communalism start? It's confusing. You will not know the date. Communalism started in the year, no, that will not come for this. That is not actually valid for this, because communalism, we don't know exactly when it started. But you can read on to when the term communalism was coined, when it was explained. That you can say something in the definition, but we cannot know when it actually started. Because long back, even in BC, where 225, somewhere when maybe Lord Krishna was born, communalism was already there, right? Long back, it was already there. The Harappan, Mohenjo-daro, during those years, during those times, it was already there. So we cannot exactly define that. When it comes to characteristics, what exactly is it? Now, communalism in a way is just an ideological concept, right? You cannot point on something and say, that is communalism. No, it's an ideological concept. Now, when someone wants to start a riot or something, they talk to someone and pay them, right? That's usually how it happens, especially in India. And then the maybe let's say the constables, the low class, the low rank ones, they start up the riot in favor of the general, in favor of the inspector general, right? So that's how it goes. It's usually an ideological concept to fulfill the desire of the ruling party. Not necessarily in politics, right? The ruling party. Maybe if I'm a leader of something and I want to take something from my neighbors, and to my own family, to my own community, I started spreading something wrong about that community. And then if I have a, let's say, one thing very funny, one very good example is, sometimes there used to be a fight during my college days. When it's between a Northeast and a North Indian guy, we don't really care whose fault it is. Is it the North Indian person's fault, or is it the Mizo guy's fault? We don't really care, right? These North Indian people, they used to do like that. That's the first thing that comes to mind. My community, right? And that is exactly what people in the high-ranking officers use, because they are from our place. It's like we share the same looks, we share the same ideology, so we have to fight for them, right? It's just an ideology. They plant something in our mind, and then we just fight for that. And then I will bring out something as a remedy, okay, in the end. I hope we can come to that. Okay, let me not focus too much on communalism now. And then now it causes rivalry, right? Communalism, it causes problems, it causes violence, it just causes problems among people, right? Now I brought out the problems of communalism. Now what are the causes? What are the causes of communalism? Now minorities. Here I will bring out the positive point of communalism. I said communalism, that I should bring out my community is not good. Now, is there a plus point as well? I think there's a plus point, right? Because if I do not stress on my community, we Mizo's, we're very small. I can never compare it to South India, right? We are too small. So if I do not fight for my rights, or if I do not fight for, let's say, an office in the central government, or let's say a tribal quota, that's quite common, right? Tribal quota. I used to feel that it's not necessary because it creates division among the people of India as well. Are having tribal quota. I'm a tribal, so I'm saying this. If you say it, it might not be right, okay? When I have a separate quota in the government, in the let's say universities, maybe sometimes I think, especially for government jobs, you're quite aware of that. Let's say maybe for people belonging to a scheduled caste, or maybe from the upper caste or the general section, you may need 70%, and for me, maybe I might need, let's say, 65% to get into an university, right? But then the seats are quite limited, so even among us, we can barely manage to get that. Maybe just 3 or 4 seats will be there, so it's quite difficult actually. But still, right? The tendency of the minorities, that's the cause of communalism. That I am too small, so I have to fight for my identity. But from your point of view, I am also an Indian, and if I have a separate quota, if I have separate advantage, if I have more advantage than you, from your point of view, that itself is a problem, right? So the communalism feeling will not come from me. This time it's coming from you, right? And you're not at fault. No, you're not wrong in feeling that community feeling, because I have better advantage than you, right? Because even if I don't study well also, I will maybe easily attend the good universities even if I score less marks than you, right? So maybe it's not fair, and then you fight for that, right? Because of the minorities, fighting for our minority rights. But from my point of view, that is correct again, because the central India is too big, and then the northeast India is too small, and the Mizos are too small. So for us to come up, I need something. So from my point of view, is good. From your point of view, is good. And so if someone used that point politically, right? If someone used it as an instrument, if they come to me and say, you need this, even if they complain, you just fight them, you just go against them, it is your right, right? So I would feel, yes, it is my right. I need to put my identity, I have to write my identity in India, else my community will be wiped out. And then they come to your community again, they say that this is not fair. This is not how it's meant to be. You're all Indians, right? So then the problem comes. So that whenever you see something, your biblical faculty might teach you, I think so, the contrapuntal way of reading. The contrapuntal way of reading is, That contrapuntal reading is not in the notes, okay? This is just an extra. I will focus more on just communalism because they're quite similar, and then we'll just move on. Now, contrapuntal. What is contrapuntal way of reading? Let's see. The Israelites, right? The Israelites were God's chosen people, and when they fight against their enemies, the Amalekites were there, the Egyptians were there, and when they break down the walls of Jericho, right? When we read it, we are like, our God is very powerful. Our God is very strong. If we pray, He will defeat our enemies, right? But in a contrapuntal way of reading, we are reading it from the perspective of the Egyptians, the Amalekites, or the guards there at the walls of Jericho. We are viewing from their perspective. The guy guarding the walls of Jericho, he also had a family, right? He might have a daughter, he might have a son, he will have a loving wife, right? Even all the women they killed, they have a life, right? So what about them, right? This is a religion class in a way, so that's why I'm coming to a bit wide perspective, not just the strict conservative view. It has to become a bit wider, right? Because when it comes to communalism, when, let's say, religious communalism, when it comes to religion, are Christians into religious communalism? Okay, we'll focus that when it comes to fundamentalism, right? So the contrapuntal way of reading, you always have to apply it in this subject, at least in my subject, right? The causes of communalism is when minorities are fighting for their rights. 2 points. The victim and the people who are not having the advantage, right? People who are not a minority in India are fighting against the minorities because they have so many extra rights. Keep that in mind, right? Orthodoxy also comes. I have to follow my culture even when I travel to other places of India or outside. Because when we visit some other states, we keep saying that in our state, in my family does not do this. We do not eat this kind of food. We do not pray this way. If you come to my place, we do not remove shoes in the church. And if you think that the church is defiled when we do not remove the shoes in our church, then you have a problem. If I do not want to eat idli or dosa, I have a problem because when I stayed there in Visakhapatnam, I had to eat dosa, but luckily for me, I really love the coconut chutney and all, so it wasn't a problem. But when you do not want to move out from your community, from your family, then that becomes a problem, right? Religiously, it always comes like that. Now, the design of the leaders also comes, right? Usage of divide and rule policy. I will not focus on that. Now, weak economic status also comes, that someone has to fight for it, right? Someone has to fight for their identity. That's the problem we can also face. Okay, and then we'll move on. Geographical causes, I've also already mentioned that, right? The causes of communalism also comes when it comes to, there's a geographical, the land, right? The people belonging to this side and the people belonging to this side. India, Pakistan, India, China comes, right? The problem comes. The notes are there, you can stress on that. And historical causes are there. When we read into history books, what do we find? We find clashes, problems, wars between especially Hindu and Muslims. And when the Christians come, when the Western power come, in a way, it was not fair for the people of India as well, right? Because even the Hindus and the Muslims, they were converting to Christianity, because even if that Muslim guy is educated, even if that Hindu guy had a degree somewhere, they do not want to give proper office to them. at the end of it. At first, they were not bothered. They just came to trade something, right? Trade spices and all this, and that at first that was the idea, that was the plan. But then they interfered in the religious lives as well, and then sometimes in some offices, in some Western, let's say, office, they do not want to give high or important or responsibility or office to a Hindu or a Muslim. So they, in a way, converted to Christianity. So from an Indian, from a true Indian perspective, it is not fair, right? That was not fair. And when Hindus, in their ideology, when they keep saying that Christianity is a foreign religion, I think that is acceptable, right? Let me just ask this question for once. Is Christianity a foreign religion? You can just unmute yourselves and then you can answer. We'll just spend maybe a few minutes on that. A break for me as well. Is Christianity a foreign religion? I hope you understand what I was saying. Yes. Anything
I don't
from?
think it is foreign religion because
Okay.
Christianity came to India when Saint Thomas, the disciple of Jesus, came. It is first century.
Okay.
It is not Christianity had its spread, overall spread in India during the Western colonialism.
Mm. Okay.
But Christianity is far before that. It is from the first century.
Okay. That's a very good point. Yes. Anyone else, and then I'll speak something on that. That was a very valid point.
But Jesus never want establish a religious.
Okay.
He teaches lifestyle everyone.
Okay. Okay. So religion was, yes, that's what we used to say, right? Religion was, okay, starting a new religion was never the intention of Jesus. But okay, humans create religion. Is that, I think that's what the pastor was saying. Okay. And then I think one more is there from Chennai.
But always Christians are in the mind that our worship is always godly worship, but
Yes.
the other people's worship are evil worship. That is the main cause of communalism, I think.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any other? I think no more, right? And I think some of the videos are off. I think they might still be sleeping, but then it's okay. Yeah, it's for our own good only, right? When it comes to interaction, I think that is the best way we actually learn. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Our pastor said religion was, of course, not the intention of Jesus. That's a valid point. But anyhow, humans, we need something, right? I'll just focus on the pastor's speech first, and then I'll come to Miss Golda Ajit. Okay. The thing is, even though Jesus did not want to start a religion, humans, we need a guideline, right? How do religions form? Let's say, what is religion? Religion is a set of beliefs, a set of instructions, a set of practices, and for some religion, rituals, right? So that we can communicate with the Almighty One, right? That, I think, is a very simple definition of religion. Of course, there will be many complex, confusing definitions of religion, but that's it, right? A set of rituals, a set of practices, so that we can communicate with the Almighty One. Okay, so in a way, we are faced with the reality that we need religion because humans need a guide. We need a guide, right? I need someone to discipline me. If I do not have this class this morning, then maybe I would have gotten up at 9 a.m., right? If there is nothing to push me, then I will not be able to communicate properly with God, right? And then there might be some chaos, because some might say prayer is necessary, some might say no need for the creed, no need for the Apostles' Creed, then there is some confusion or not, right? We need to affirm what our faith is, what exactly our faith is. Okay, and then when it comes to the, yes, there were hints of Christianity, of course, even in India, but the problem was the, let's say, the early Christians at first were not willing to spread the gospel sometimes, right? That's why it did not spread so much. So I think what, let me just address you as Golda. Okay, Ajit, I have a friend named Ajit, so let me address you as Golda. So what Miss Golda said was, of course, Christianity was already there. It was not a foreign religion, but I think that is quite true. But the Westerners, the Western rule was quite instrumental in spreading Christianity in India. Okay, I think we can focus on that for now. We'll stop there, right? That's a good point anyhow. But we should also know that the pastor's point comes back there. Religion. There is no such thing as foreign in such a way, right? No such thing as foreign in such a way. Even for Golda, no such thing. Even for our Sir David is there. So no, there is no such thing as foreign, especially for the Hindus, because for them they accept their way of living as Hinduism, right? Now, sometimes I used to feel that even for Christianity, if Hinduism had reached my place before the missionaries, I would have surely been a Hindu, because the Hindus would have come and whatever practice we had, because we also have a belief that we have to appease a certain spirit, or we used to call someone Puvana, that is, let's say, the sky or something. We used to adjust the sky. So if Hinduism had came earlier, then I would have also been a Hindu, right? They, in a way, adjusted with my practice, with my customs. Now, when Christianity come, the main reason why it is often called a foreign religion is because it does not just come with a different spirituality. No, it comes with a different outlook, right? Dressing, the clothes which which the men are wearing, the women, you're very Indian. That's very beautiful, actually. What the men are wearing is actually, in a way, what Christianity brought. That is how it is termed as a foreign religion, right? Because Christianity brings not only a different spirituality, but a different outlook, right? Because, of course, the Westerners bring the clothes, not Christianity itself. But even Christianity was, in a way, spread and introduced in most of the Indian states, that we address it as a foreign religion because of a different outlook as well, right? I, in a way, have a different outlook. This is not Indian at all. I think I can say that, right? In my place, I don't think I would have worn a place like this if the Westerners didn't come, right? So always view on the other side as well. View it from the, let's say, the Western people as well. For them, they were doing ministry. It was a good thing. When they interfered with religion, the Indians were angry. It created communalism. But for the Westerners, of course, it was a way to do trade more effectively, to take resources more effectively from the Indians. So from their side, it was also good. And not just that, they also spread Christianity like anything. It grew like anything, right? Even, let's say, Serampur College, in 1818 it was formed, right? A Western person formed it, the Serampur trio, right? They did it. They came up with it. So even though they focus on communalism, from their point of view, that was really good, right? So defining good and bad in every religion, in every community, in every society is very confusing. It's very difficult. In Chennai, what you say is good and what you say is bad might not be quite acceptable for me here in Mumbai, right? I might say that in Mumbai, these people are a bit like that. They come from different parts of India, or not just India, from other countries as well. So we have to accept this. So the problem comes. So there can be no community which stands above the others. It has to be a merge of communities, right? We have to merge those communities and try to come up with an universal, acceptable, way of living. That's exactly the point of having religion, the term religion, or the society of religion as well, right? We have to keep that in mind. Okay, the social causes are also there when it comes to community. Like I said, let me not mention that again. Psychological causes. You had a problem earlier, or when you read the history, you keep thinking that this problem was started by that community, this community took all the advantages. Community comes. If that is planted in your mind, then even though you study, you keep on study and preach, then it's quite useless. And then sometimes they provoke us, right? We are provoked by foreign countries. Because let's say, I do not want to bring this often much, but let's say Pakistan. When Pakistan have a problem with India, what is the first thing that comes to mind? I use Instagram, I use Facebook. So whenever I read any comments, it's not about, most of the comments will not be like, we should stand together as Indians. No. In the comments, what do we find? Send the Muslims home to their home country. What are they doing in India? And then, see, when we are provoked by a Muslim country, the problem is, what are the Muslim people doing here in India? Send them home, right? Community-wise, we are also provoked by foreign countries as well. It's a very big issue, right? And then some comments will be like, we also fight against, we are also against Pakistan, we are Indians. So some Muslim people will try to clarify themselves, but then no, their voice is not heard. That is too small. Majority of the comments will be, beat the Muslims, send them home to Pakistan, right? Community problem comes. That is one of the main problem of actually this religious community problem which we face here in India. And then media, right? Media. Whatever the media sees or says, we believe it in a way. Our TV, television, what we read in the news is something. But what we also forget sometimes is, our media, the news which you see, is also controlled by, let's say, a religious ideology, a separate social ideology, a separate community ideology, right? Because when we see news, if you read, like I say, contrapuntal reading, we read the news, India and China, it is China's fault, right? Indian news. You go to China and read the news, India's fault again, right? From their own point of view, they, in a way, were following orders from the generals, and the generals went all the way back to history and looked how the partition was made, and then from their point of view, they are also right. So we should always view from different perspectives. Now, why I keep saying different perspective is, whenever we talk about communalism and fundamentalism in India, the main problem, even though we keep on saying appearance-wise or state-wise, we used to say, the main problem is religion, right? We will come to politicization of religion later on, so I will not focus more on that. And then how can we eradicate communalism? How can we remove communalism? What? Let me just listen to one points from some of you. How can we remove this communalism? For me, let me say one very um, common thing: interreligious or intercultural or intercaste marriage should be done. For me, I believe that, right? To get rid of communalism. That is very simple. Interreligious, intercaste, inter-society, intercultural marriage should be practiced more often. For me, I believe that one. So when it comes to you, because let's say you preach about communalism and fundamentalism and you want peace in the society, right? But do you want your sons or your daughters to marry a Hindu or a Muslim or a Buddhist, right? Do you want that? So that communalism, the religious communalism feeling comes. Or maybe you do not want your relatives to marry a northeastern person like me, right? Your community comes, communalism comes, right? So even for Christians, maybe it is you having a problem. Okay, let me hear it from some of you. How can we remove this communalism? And then I'll keep on talking again. Anyone? Okay, I think no one for now, right? Abolition of communal parties would be very nice because there are different parties which fight for the community. And then the past heritage, the way we keep reading the history, sometimes it's not right. Interreligious marriage that I've already said. And then public opinion. Public opinion. How do you change public opinion? By proper usage of the media, right? Like I said, the media should not be community or religious oriented on some specific community. No, it should be for the whole country, for people of India. Okay, there's someone who did not mute this and then it's creating some problem. Okay, I'll just explain more on communalism and fundamentalism, and now we'll move to fundamentalism. Okay, and then after that we will speak about the causes, the effects of or how it has been used in India to gain power by the ruling parties. Let's say politicization of religion. After that, we'll just explain some of the different religious fundamentalists which we can find, and then I think we can end the class. And if you have any problem with my explanation, if I speak too fast, please you can just unmute yourselves and then you can explain what you don't understand, and then I'll try to explain it again. Yeah. Okay, fundamentalism. What is fundamentalism? Now, fundamentalism, when we Mr. Sayoni Mondal, can you please mute yourself, please? Mr. Sayoni Mondal.
Yes.
Can you mute your mic, please? Because your sound is coming. Okay. Yeah. When we say fundamentalism, Islamic fundamentalism, Hindu fundamentals, Hindu fundamentalist. When we say that, the first thing that comes to mind is a very negative thought, right? Fundamentalism. We can hear, maybe we remember all the way to the Graham Staines tragedy, right? Those are in a way religious, the acts of, or the actions of religious fundamentals, right? Because they are extremists. But what is the real meaning of fundamentalism? When we say fundamentals, it only means respecting tradition, right? Adhering to the fundamentals of maybe the community or the church or your religion, right? It's quite simple. Now, I have a doctrine. So if I follow my doctrine exactly as it is, that means I am also a fundamental. That means I am strictly following the doctrines and rules of my religion or my church. That is actually what fundamentals mean. But then fundamentalism, when we say fundamentalism, it is not different, okay? It is still the same. But they are judging from what has been happening. When we look into history, the term fundamentalism has a very negative impact, right? Even the Pharisees and the Sadducees were, I think we can say, fundamentals, right? Religious fundamentals. Because they followed, maybe let's say, the Torah very well, the laws, the scripture very well. So they were also fundamentals. I think you can, in a way, understand very simply with like that. And then, even for Christians, when I follow my own tradition exactly as it should be, then I am a fundamentalist. Simple. I gave lots of definitions, okay? Even exactly how the term was coined, the term fundamentalism. So everything is here in the notes. You don't have to worry. And then, but the problem is, true fundamentals can never agree, right? True fundamentals can never agree. I belong to, let's say, a Christian community. You belong to a Hindu community. You are a Hindu fundamental. I am a Christian fundamental. If I go exactly as I am, exactly as the scripture says, what is a very common biblical verse? I think our pastor will know that when Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Right? There, this is where your you play your part, okay? You can argue with me, especially the pastor. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, or I think in the exact translation it comes, I am the only way. Only way. Now, for a Hindu fundamental, for an Islamic fundamentalist, what do they say? Right? Do they believe that? So that means if I have a Muslim friend, the moment I speak about my belief, he or she is no longer my friend, right? Because he have to follow Jesus. Is that applicable in India? Is that applicable in India, being a religious fundamentalist? Or just because I want to have good relationship with a Muslim guy, do I say that we can get salvation even through Allah by doing the namaz, praying 5 times a day, by fasting, by giving, by doing what? Zakat, right? By giving alms, right? All those things are there. So do I say that? What do I do as a Christian? What will I do? It's confusing, right? What do you do? How can you have a Hindu friend? Because at the end of the day, you have to argue with each other. Not necessarily argue, but when that topic comes, you have a problem, right? I think Miss Golda Ajit can say something on that.
The thing is, we cannot compromise.
Yes.
We cannot compromise in our faith, but we
Mm-hmm.
can be friendly with them.
Mm.
And at the same time, we must not offend their beliefs.
Mm. Good
The
point.
way we treat them friendly and the way we live our lives will impact them automatically
Mm.
towards the true God.
Mm.
It's not only by words and argument, but it is by the life we win them for Christ.
Mm.
Our
That's a.
ultimate aim is they have to know who is the Savior. That's all. Whether they are Muslim or Sikh or Hindu, that's not our problem.
Mm-hmm.
I have come across many Hindu neighbors who do all their rituals, but they
Okay.
have faith in God, read their Bible regularly.
Mm.
But outwardly, they are very staunch Hindus.
Okay.
How
Okay.
can I judge them?
Good one. Yes. Yes, I used to have some students in master's college as well that they are actually Christians, but their certificate, their birth certificate says that they are Hindus because it was a problem changing their identity. It requires so much, and then in a way they still take the Hindu benefit, but by faith they are Christians. So okay, we'll come to the answer, the sharing by Miss Golda Smith. Before that, is there anyone who wants to share anything? I think no one, right? Okay, that was a very good point. That ultimately the main thing is at the end of the day they have to know who the creator is, and we should not compromise our faith, right? We should not compromise our faith. That is a very we should not be like this, right? We should not just go and adjust our faith just because we want to make friends with them. But then let me say but is always a very interesting word, right? I 100% agree to what Miss Calder Smith said, but let me say but am I supposed to say this, or it's a religion class, right? So okay, are Christians exclusive? You have studied about inclusivism, exclusivism, pluralism, right? So in a way, are Christians inclusive or exclusive? That question comes. I cannot make a. I have my own thoughts. Even Miss Golda Smith just shared her own thoughts. Everyone is entitled to their own theory, own thoughts, right? I respect that. So are Christians inclusive or exclusive when it comes to diversity of religion? Especially in a country like India, are Christians right or are Christians wrong in believing that Jesus Christ is the only way? Okay, that's a question which you will read in the notes, okay? It's there in the notes, because this debate is something which can go on like forever, right? This debate has been going on even before I was born, and then it will keep on going, it will keep on going. So, but we can all share our thoughts. And what Miss Golda Smith said is, what I really like was that yes, we should not just conform in a way. We should not just adjust ourselves. That's a good point. But then, fundamentalism was a fight against liberalism. Okay, because people were very traditional at first. They keep preaching against other religion. They were quite an orthodox Christian, right? Orthodox outlook they had. They were quite strict in their viewpoint, so they excluded all other community, not just religious community, right? People from maybe, let's say, other caste, other society, everyone was included. So liberalism came. Let's say the postmodern outlook was there now. Postmodernism came, right? Good for me, but not for you. Good for you, not for me. You do what you do, I do what I want. Right? You follow whatever you want to follow, any god you want, I'll follow my own god. That ideology came. And then again, fundamentalism came, right? A fight against those things. Because like what was just shared, in every religion, people are also fed up of the, let's say, the religious teachers or the priests or the pastors becoming too modernized, becoming too modern. Because just because I want to fit in India, or I want to have friends with another community so much that I am adjusting my faith, I'm adjusting the gospel, I'm rearranging the gospel, the words of Jesus Christ himself, in order for me to fit in a multi-religious community. So in Christians, how do fundamentalists came? Because they were fed up of people accepting so many things, right? You can drink alcohol, no problem. You smoke as much as you want. You can eat pan as much as you want. People were fed up of all those, right? They were fed up. And they said, real Christianity is not like that. I think we can look to, I really like the Mar Thoma Church. I have a friend, a pastor in Mar Thoma Church. He was my classmate actually. And then, because the way they believe was in a way very orthodox, right? They are still back to that, not all, but the true Christianity, they still follow that. They don't compromise too much. And but when we look into Hinduism, when we look into Muslim, Islam, Islam, right? And then Buddhism, Jainism, they also, why do they also have this religious fundamentalism? Even in Buddhism, they have religious fundamentalism, like a religion of peace. They didn't want to be called a religion actually at first, but then anyhow it came up. And then even Hindus, why do all these political parties come? Why do the VHP comes up, right? Why did the Hindu reform movement comes? The Hindu reform movement, actually I have a good note on that. I prepared a good note and then kept it, and then I think I might have removed it. So when the Senate sent you the notes, if by chance I did not put it, or if you want it, then you can just contact me, and then I'll email it to you. I'll post my email later at the end of the class. You can just email me any separate notes you want. I can just prepare it for you, okay? Because these notes which I prepared is around 37 pages, and it will be enough. It's more than enough actually. But if you want more, then I'll give it to you. Okay. And then even in Hindu, the Hindu reform movement came because people were too modernized, right? They were too much influenced by the Western style of living, or in their own words, the Christian way of living. They were too much influenced. So the Hindu reform movement came, and from there we find the Hindu fundamentalism, right? Fundamentalists came because they were conforming too much. Even Muslims, the Muslim League, Jamaat-e-Islami Hind, why do these people come? To fight for their rights. So because people were forgetting their roots. So when we say religious fundamentalism, in a way it has a negative term, a negative connotation, but we should also remember that it is a fight to keep our tradition alive. When Christians practice fundamentalism, it also has a positive cause, a positive reason, because Christians are also fighting for their tradition. I think that is quite clear for now. Now, what are the characteristics of fundamentalism? If self-righteous arrogance, we dominate other people of different origins, different races, colors, and faiths. Simple, right? And then exclusivistic tendencies, like I said. Because if I always believe that my faith or my society or my community should be not just higher, that you have to follow it. There comes the problem of religious fundamentalism. I think there are three of you in the video. Okay, our pastor is still there. Yeah, let me just. Okay, Mr. David, I think he took a break. We can also take a break, maybe, because there are very few in the video for now. Sasmit sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, shall we take maybe a 5 minutes break, because I think people are on a break.
Yeah, no problem, sir. No problem.
Oh, I think they came back. No, for me I have time actually. I don't need a break, because we have very limited time, and then I really want to finish some of the at least the course. Okay, I think we're back. Okay, we'll go on to that. Now, when does fundamentalism become a problem? It becomes a problem not when I want to preserve my tradition. No, that is not a problem. You preserve your tradition. You preserve what you value in your society, in your religion. Because if your church does not have a proper doctrine, if they keep on changing their doctrines, your church in a way is, it's a very strong word, but it's useless, right? They cannot keep on changing. Even Christianity, we cannot keep on changing the gospel, right? No, we cannot do that. But the problem of fundamentalism comes when I want to impose my belief, when I want to impose my tradition to you. That becomes a problem. If I want you to live like me, that becomes a problem. And if you want me to live like the way your ancestors have lived 500 years back, that becomes a problem, right? A huge problem. But a debate can come, exactly as Miss Golda Ajit said, because in a way, every religion believes that salvation is from their own religion. Hinduism is quite vast. They accept, in a way, they could have also accepted Christianity. If we don't say Jesus is the only way, they would have accepted Christianity. But we say Jesus is the only way. But that is also the uniqueness of Christianity, right? But again, that creates the problem. When Christians, at first, we may think that we are doing ministry, but then if a Hindu fundamental argues with us, they also have their own standpoint, right? I am not saying Christians are right or wrong, or Hindus are right or wrong, but every coin has two sides, right? A and B. Always view from the perspective of others as well. The contrapuntal way of reading, right? The perspective of your enemy. You have to view things from their perspective as well. If not, then your religion will also be useless, right? And then nationalism, we see. Nationalism is in a way just adhering to or addressing yourself with a certain ideology of a certain, let's say, country or place, right? Simple. But patriotism is quite different again. Patriots. Whom do we call patriots? Mostly people from the army, right? When they fight for the country, when they do something great for the country, especially when they die for the country, right? They are patriots. And this patriotic mentality is used especially by, let's say, the Hindu fundamentals, right? Patriotic. in the name of India. Now, like I said, during the Western era, the British era, right? When we were colonized by the Western power, people at first were fighting together. The Muslims, the Hindus, everyone at first, they thought they would fight together, but the ruling party majority was Hindus, right? So when the fighting or the ruling party wants to impose that Hindu ideology to India, the whole of India, that becomes a problem. And because of that, the Muslims and the Hindus could not fight together, right? I've mentioned that before. Let me not go back. If not, then it'll take too long. Okay. So nationalism. The Hindus, what is their strong point? Because Hinduism is not a religion. That's what they said. It is a way of life. So every person in India should follow the Hindu ideology. And what we should always know is that Hinduism and Hindutva is different. Okay, Hinduism is different. Hindutva is different. Hindutva was, in a way, formed somewhere all the way back in 1920 or 1943. I think 1943. You can look that up later on. Why? Because Muhammad Ali Jinnah formed the Muslim League. Not formed, he became the president of the Muslim League. And he introduced the true nation theory. That Pakistan, the Muslims should move away from India. And then Savarkar was there. He introduced this Hindutva, extreme Hinduism, right? Back to the Vedas, right? All the way back to the Vedas. Every person in India should follow the livelihood of a strict Hindu, not just a Hindu, a strict Hindu. That is how the Hindutva ideology came. Hinduism and Hindutva are quite different, and is there in the notes as well. We'll not stress so much on that. So now we can go to a very common topic. We mentioned about communalism and fundamentalism already, nationalism as well, and a very important point is politicization of religion. It's in the notes, so it's a very long one actually, so you don't have to worry about that. Politicization of religion. Now, politicization. What is politicization? It is the action or process of rendering political or ideologies upon a political basis, right? Now, politicization of religion. What do we mean by politicization of religion? If I politicize something, if I politicize my community, that means I want to be a candidate for, let's say, the President of India, and basing on my ethnicity, I talk to my community, right? To the community, to my Mizo people, to the Mizo people back there in Mizoram. I am a Mizo, your own people, so you should vote for me. That means I politicize my ethnicity, right? And then comes the religion again. When it comes to, now the problem is, let's say, when we say BJP, when a BJP candidate stands for something in politics, the majority of the people who vote is, let's say, quite simple, right? Is a Hindu, because BJP in a way stands for Hinduness, the Hindu life of India, of the Hindus of India. Now, if there is any proper, I think in South India and all the Christian political parties are quite strong. I'm not so sure, but I read somewhere. The name also is somewhere in the notes. And then if a Christian political party stands up, so that means who will vote for that? The Christians will vote, right? For sure. Because a Christian is standing. It is not, they are voting not because that Christian candidate is eligible and better than the Hindu candidate. They are voting because they are voting for their own community. Now, when we say politicization of religion, what is very, very common in India is religion have been used to gain votes in certain parts of India, right? And who are the majority in India? Of course, Hindus, right? So, especially in West, not West Bengal, in Uttar Pradesh, the chief minister is a very strict Hindu. And so when the chief minister proves to himself that not just in secular education, but in guiding the spirituality or in sharing the spiritual life of the people of Uttar Pradesh, if he proves himself that he could take part in the religious lives of the people, then for sure he would gain votes, right? And that is exactly what he is trying to prove. Now there can be a very huge discussion on the Ayodhya issue, right? The Ayodhya temple there. We know we can even go all the way back to Ram Janmabhoomi, but then let me check the time. It's already 8:30. Let's not go there. But I will open the time for discussion again from you, from the students at least, because I want to see how you have faced this religious or communal diversity in your place. Anything you can share about how, oh, there is a very common term, right? Yes, Asmit sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, anything?
No,
No, right? Okay, okay. There is a very common issue going on, right? With this film star. When Sushant Singh, in the news he was portrayed as suicide, right? That he committed suicide. And then now people are blaming on Ria. But the huge problem which arises from there is nepotism, right? Nepotism. I think we understand the meaning of nepotism or how it affects especially the film industry. That people are focusing more or giving more advantage to their own community or their own relatives, right? Nepotism. Now, in politics or when it comes to religious politics or politicization of religion, there also we can find nepotism, right? Because my community is more fit, is more right. Now, previously we heard that at the end of it all, even people of other faith or religion will understand or should know that Jesus Christ is the only way, right? That's what you should. We listen to that. But let me put this question to you. Is that also a form of nepotism? Because you favor your community or you favor your own religion, your own religious teaching. What does an imam say when it comes to religion? What does a Hindu priest say when it comes to religion? Because for them they focus on karma samsara, right? They need to attain nirvana, moksha. All those terms comes. For us, we want to go to heaven. How is that related to nepotism, right? Because the contra way of reading is very, very important, like I said, because we speak about politicization of religion and we condemn the Hindus And if the Christians are in that position, will we do the same or not? Right? Will we do the same? We might do the same, or you may say that we will not do the same, or I will open a few minutes later on, okay, after this point. I just want to bring out the let's say the 3 points of politicization of religion, and I want to share this screen so that you can also read it, because I want to have a short discussion. Let me share my screen. Yes, you can see this. Politicization of religion is always said to have been characterized by the following 3 points. Right, let me enlarge it for you. Religious politics invokes religious identity as a political identity, and thereby raising the religious community as a political community. Mobilization on the basis of religious identity can be a great instrument in mass politics. You can read that one, right? If you have a question, you ask. If not, then I'll just read the second point again, because there are so much more to cover. Okay, the second point is religious politics is characterized, especially in the initial stages, by the involvement of religious authority in political activities. Involvement of religious authority in political activities. Religious authority is here broadly defined and denotes all those who exercise religious influence over a group of believers. Now, let me share something on this, an example. Because in my state, drinking, okay, in the Christianity which is introduced in Mizoram, drinking is a sin. Now the Congress, they introduced what? They gave permit for free selling of liquor, import of liquor in our state, the Congress, right? But financially, it really improves the state when we look from the other perspective, right? Not just from my church perspective. From my perspective, it's a sin. But from the state financial side, it's a great advantage because it improves the economic status of my state. Now, that's the view of the Congress. Now, the MNF, they came, the Mizoram National Front, the opposing party, they came. And what do they say? They say that we do not want a political party who introduce demonic practices in Mizoram. They said if we come into power, we will abolish drinking again, right? We will not permit import and selling of liquor, of whiskey, of any kind of wines in Mizoram. So this is exactly what comes here. Involvement of religious authority in political activities. Now, because it's a small community, right? Even the political leaders are maybe church elders in my church, maybe they will be Sunday school teachers, and then they stand up on the pulpit, and what do they preach? That drinking is a sin, and that the state will die soon, our spirituality will die if we do not get rid of this political party which permits the selling and import of liquor in Mizoram. So, spiritually, he already took over my heart, right? He already wins over my heart. Because spiritually, I was taught at first that drinking is a sin. And then this political party, they introduced it. This Congress party, they introduced it. And this MNF guy, he comes on the pulpit and says, if we are into power, or drinking is a sin, this and that, we should overcome. We should fight such evil. The church should fight such evil. And if you don't fight for it, then you are not the true Christian. And if someone says like that, then I don't want to vote for Congress anymore, right? Because spiritually he already wins over me. So I vote for MNF. And now MNF is in power, and import and selling of liquor is no longer allowed in my state again, right? Simple. That's exactly the politicization of religion. There we find it. They temper with the religiosity of the people, because India is a very, very religious place, right? While Indians were fighting in the name of religion, in the Western countries, they were already flying. The Wright brothers already invented their first aeroplane, right? They were already flying while Indians were still fighting in the name of religion. So we are religious, very religious people. I don't know whether that's a good or bad thing, but then that religiosity has been used many times by people in the upper offices for their own benefits. Okay, now let's go on to the third point. It's quite long. Everything is long. I usually shorten the points. Religious politics reverse religious categories onto political categories. Most commonly, rival political ideologies are defined as the work of Satan. Specific actions such as supporting the rival political party are defined as what? Sin. And specific activities as voting for the religious party are defined as religious duty with a promise of spiritual blessing. What does this point mean? What does this point mean? The example I gave was quite simple. If I vote for Congress, the political party who allows the sale of liquor, inside I feel that I have sinned because I voted for the open selling of liquor in my state. So I vote for MNF because spiritually I feel that MNF is ordained by God because they will remove the permission of selling liquor again in my state, right? That's what it says here. When it comes to on the bigger scale, usually people vote on the basis of their religion, right? Because they feel that it is their religious duty. That's the problem here. Right? That is exactly the problem which we find in politicization of religion. Okay, now subjugation of Hindus comes. Hindus were subjugated, right? They were oppressed and they were fighting for a chance. So at the end of it all, the only thing they could do was stress on their beliefs, stress on their teachings, saying that you should come back to the real India. You should come back to the true India, because that is who we are. That is how we are, where we are, right? Where we should be. Okay, and I think I'll share the screen again when we have a short discussion. Let me put this together again. Okay. So far, is there any question? Because the time is running up and I will rush in the end. Is there any question? Any sharing which you want to do? Apart from that, maybe I missed the point or something. You want to include something, and then we can just go back. If you want me to go back, I can go back. No. Okay. Okay. No, right? Yes. Now, everyone has an experience or a back history or a back study of theology, right? So fundamentalism and communalism is, let me say it like this, is one of the easiest subjects, okay? The only problem where you will find is how to Christianize, how to theologize fundamentalism and communalism, because the problem is you have to prove that Christianity is the only way, the truth, the truth and the life, right? The only way to the truth. But while proving that Christianity is the only way, you should also respect the belief of people of other faiths, right? Not the non-believers. They are not non-believers. That's a very wrong term. I think you have already learned about that, right? Non-believers, because Hindus believe in something. They are not non-believers. They believe in something. Muslims believe in something. Everyone believes in something. And then it's 46. So the challenge is the Christian part. Now, how do we Christianize? How do we theologize fundamentalism? Or because we are not allowed to conform, right? We are not allowed to adjust our belief according to the faith of this world, according to this world. But in a pluralistic country like India, we need certain restrictions on ourselves, right? So how do we do that? What kind of biblical verse do we use? I'm moving directly to the concluding part because it's quite similar. The economic factor comes, the democratic process comes, the separate electorate comes. So I think for that we don't have to do much. And then, so if you were to preach to people of other faith, not necessarily preach, if you were going to encourage someone, what kind of biblical verses are we supposed to use? What are we going to do, right? That's a big question. Later I'll expect something from the pastor, right? Yeah, I'll expect something from the pastor later on. But for now, I want you to mention something, fundamentalism from different religions. What kind of fundamentalism from different religions do we find? Before I mention the Ayodhya fundamentalism, right? The Ayodhya one. I mentioned that one. So what is, let's say, Islamic fundamentalism? What do we find in Islam? What fundamentalism do we find in Islam? Can you share something on that? What are the problems with, let's say, in a very common term, of a Muslim guy, of a Muslim woman? What do they believe that is not acceptable to us Christians? What do they believe? That's a very, very straightforward, simple question, right? What do Muslims believe? What do they believe? They believe in, what is their Bible? The Quran, right? They believe in Allah. They believe in prophets. And then Abraham is quite similar to us. A few days back they had Eid Mubarak, right? Quite related to us. And then they also have Jesus Christ as one of their prophets. Maybe let's say the second last prophets. And then comes Muhammad. And what do they believe? Which is not acceptable to us. It's a very,
They also believe
yes.
Isa Nabi.
The answer
They
is,
also believe Isa Nabi. Isa Nabi, they also Muslim believe Jesus, Isa Nabi they called
okay,
Muslims.
okay. Yes, Jesus as the
He also
prophet.
come the
Yes.
final, the end of days to judge everyone. They believe. And someone I speak to the Muslim friends.
Good point. Good point. Thank you. Yes, even Jesus was, like I said, a prophet, right? One of the prophets. Now, I have a concluding remark which I want to show you because it will help you very much. Yes, these concluding remarks for Islamic fundamentalism. You may not be willing to read all the notes, but in every section I gave a concluding remarks, okay? You read that one, it will help you a lot. Now, what is this? from the above discussion, okay, no need to mention all this actually. Islamic fundamentalism is not a recent development. It started with the Wahhabi movement, but this Wahhabi movement is not actually the first one. It was, how to say, known worldwide from the Wahhabi movement. Okay, you can read from the Wahhabi movement. And then the second one, Islamic fundamentalism is understood to be a response, right? Like I said, Islamic fundamentalism, Islams don't simply come up and fight other religion, right? They don't simply come and say that you have to follow this in the present era, okay? Before they might have done it, but not now. But why are they doing it now? Because it is a response of the impact of modernity and Western influence on the Muslim world. Like, because in the scientific world, especially when it comes to religion also, they have to defend their faith, right? It is a defense because Christians also keep on converting them. They need to defend themselves, right? You may think that they will not go to heaven, but if you look it from their perspective, why do we find Islamic fundamentalists? It is because they are fighting for their own religion, for their own faith, so that it will not die, right? Because they don't want their religion, they don't want their faith to die, because they were born with it. For years and years, they were following this, their ancestors were following it, so they are fighting for it, right? So the thing is, do not condemn. They also have their own reason, they also have their own purpose. Even though you believe in your faith, you should always keep that in mind. Okay, we're almost done. I'm just focusing on this Muslim, and then we'll go on. Now, the second one is Hinduism. Hinduism will not mention, right? It's quite common. What do Hindus want? Hindu fundamentalism, what do they want? That everyone should be a proud Hindu. And who are the Hindus? The Hindu fundamentals, the Hindutva people, who do they term as Hindus is anyone living in India. That's it. And they should follow the Hindu way of living. That's what they want. Regain their ancient glory. Right? They want to regain their ancient glory. At first, they always believe that when the Aryans, let's say, invaded or came to India, maybe invaded the Harappa and Mohenjo-daro civilization, all the way from there, they always trace it back to the Hindus. Let me just mention one thing. For a Christian apologetic, right? Now the Harappan civilization, when architects, not architects, right? I forgot the name. Archaeologists, when they search for evidences of any past life or any past religious life, they used to find some sculptures, they used to find some pictures or coins of a Hindu goddess or a Hindu god, right? So most of you belong to a secular line. So what I want to request to you is that most of the historical studies, most of those studies have been done from a Hindu perspective by a Hindu person, right? Influenced and sponsored by mostly Hindu-run organization or government, right? Most of the archaeological findings have been done by Hindus. So of course, their interpretation of their findings, the use of their findings, their explanation of their findings to the world will of course be Hindu, right? So for especially those belonging into the secular community, if you could have a separate study, if you are in that position to do so, it would be good, right? Because if we study the Harappan civilization, their culture, and the Hindus, they trace it all the way back to the Aryans, the Dravidians, that they were already following the Hindu way of life, the Sanatana Dharma. They already followed that. That's what they always claim, right? And that's why they want to regain ancient glory. They say that they were great before. It was a fully Hindu society and country, and that is what they want to regain in the present India. And if there could be a separate study on that from maybe a Christian perspective, then it would have been really good. All these are there, and then let me not go there because I think it's almost time to close. Now I'll go on to the end. The role of the church comes, implication, the nature. I'll just close it from here, right? I hope you can read it. I want to close it by giving a reflection from the church. Now Christians are to respect not necessarily the beliefs, but the people who believe those teachings, right? It is the duty of the Christians to respect those people who believe different teachings. I think that has a different meaning, okay? Respecting others' beliefs or respecting the people who believe in other teachings, right? That's what a Christian has to do. First thing. I hope so that is clear. And then I've mentioned some, at the end of this, there are Bible texts in the Bible to testify God's desire for a community of universal love, okay? Universal love based on relationship of equality and mutuality. We find it all the way back in the Old Testament, Genesis, and then in the Gospel according to Mark and Acts, right? You will have to focus mostly on the biblical verses at the end. But whenever you focus on your biblical teaching, especially in a religion class, it is never to offend. It is never to put your religion above others. It is always to maintain neutrality among people of other faiths. And the biblical verses are here as well. And I think, yeah, we can close with that. And it's exactly, 8, I think. Is there any question from you? If there is any question, then I can take it up for maybe 5 minutes. Yes, Charles Smith, sir, is there? I think he can understand. Yeah, he'll give us extra 5 minutes. Yes, is there any question, any clarification which you would like to make?
What is religious fanaticism?
Religious fanaticism. Religious fanaticism is actually, let's say, Christian. I'll give it from a Christian perspective because it is actually quite safest, right? Because we're all Christians. Okay. Now, fanaticism and fundamentalism, in a way, they are quite similar. Because what do we mean by fanatic? A religious fanatic is someone who tries to impose his belief or teachings to others. Now we see the Pharisees and the Sadducees, right? Somehow they were quite strict on themselves. They maintained the lives of themselves. Okay, somehow that was quite good. They maintain it on their own. But these fanatics, if I am a religious fanatic, I want to impose my belief on you as well, right? Not just me. I have to do it. Okay, whatever my church doctrine says and tells me to do, I will do that as strictly as possible. But I do not stop there. I try my best to make you follow it as well. And whoever does not follow it are enemies, are my enemies. From an Islamic word, you are an infidel, right? All those who do not accept Allah, they are all infidels, and it's like you should get rid of them, right? To the extent of killing in order to prove your point or your belief. That is religious fanaticism. I hope that is clear.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Is there any other question? It's quite simple, okay? Communalism, fundamentalism, right? You know what is a community. Different types of communalism will be there, based on your ethnicity, based on your language, right? You all go to college. I think you must have experienced it, because even if you want to or not, intentionally or unintentionally, you have practiced communalism in your life. Because when I moved out from my state, it was very comfortable to stay with my Mizo friends because we speak the same language. Not that I don't want to speak to other community, but I was comfortable, right? And then I stick to my community in a way, whether you want it or not, knowingly or unknowingly, you have practiced communalism and fundamentalism in your life. Maybe not to the extreme of killing someone, but then at least mentally you have been a fundamentalist. Yes.
In this critical situation in India,
Yes.
Christine, how we would behave and come out that situation?
In a critical situation, how will we behave?
How will we act as a Christian believer?
As a Christian believer, okay, what would be the critical situation? Is it a religious one or
Religious one.
okay, religious one?
Political side is almost religious one. BJP government.
Ah, yes.
How
Now,
we,
okay.
how we respond?
Firstly, for me, response is a very slow process for Christians, because if we look into the Christian community, the registered Christian community in India is maybe around 2.1 or maybe 1.8% Christians here in India, and more than 80 Hindus, right? And we speak about politicization of religion. Now, politics have widely been used, religion have widely been used to gain votes. So for Christians, how do we react to that? We cannot react. First of all is we have no manpower, first thing, right? Manpower is we have nothing. If we were to start a riot, if I start a religious riot in Mizoram, Christians, we call ourselves 100% Christians, but some Hindus and Muslims workers are there, the missionaries and all, right? If we chase them out, I'm here in Mumbai, right? Majority Hindus again, and there's a mosque just nearby, near the main near the main road. They will chase me out too. So we cannot respond like that, first thing. So it's a very, very slow process for Christians, because we have to educate ourselves well. That's the first thing. For me, I believe not just biblically. I personally prefer this BCS program because, let's say, secular wise, you have your own jobs, you have your own work, you're busy, and then you jump into the theological education as well, because you're a Christian and you have to know what you believe. But in order, okay, yes, but in order to respond is to educate ourselves, not just theologically, not just on religious education, but the secular education as well. Because politics wise, if you are to respond to the Hindu politics, who am I to respond? I just serve in a church. I may teach theology. I have no standpoint in the society. I can only give advice to you, right? People in the higher offices, in the secular offices, in the government offices, right? So there are certain quotas for Muslims, even for Christians, even for tribal people. There are some quotas there. So the best way for us to react to politicization of religion is to educate ourselves and put ourselves in a situation where we can participate or where we are educated enough to be a political leader. It's a very slow and long process. Sometimes we focus too much on the theological or the, let's say, some other professional programs, like doctor, right? So many doctors, so many engineers among the Christian community. In my place, there are lots of architects, lots of nurses, but they have no role in the political world. So there is no way for them to change. So unless we can convince the Christian community to participate in politics as well, there will be no reason, there will be no chance for us, because physically we cannot fight back. Yes, and it is up to like people like you in offices to participate in such activities, and of course to encourage your family, your church members, your community, so that they will focus more on education and in such a way to be able to participate in the political life of India.
Thank you.
It's a long process, yes. Yes, is there any other? Okay, if there is not, then I'll give the time back to, yes, Sasmit, sir.
Sir, once again, thank you so much. And God bless you also for your future
Thank
ministry.
you.
And, take care of yourself also.
Okay.
And since this is the last class, there is a small announcement is there. Like regarding your contact seminar fees, the last date of contact seminar fees is 31st of August. Okay. When your examination, till now the examination was still like it will be happen on the month of October. There is no changes, nothing is there. But your form fill up is going on right now. So these days the examination form fill up is online. You have to go to our website senate-of-sirampur-college.edu.in. From there you have to go to the examination section. You have to fill up it. Online you have to fill up it. Then you have to take a printout of that also. Then along with the DD, whatever the amount will come, along with the DD you have to send directly to the Senate office, not to the SCEPTRE office. Senate of Sirampur College, Hooghly, Sirampur, you have to send it. Okay. So this is the process we are following. So till now, the exam dates, the dates normal, the exam dates are the month is confirmed, not the date. The month is confirmed, but after the executive meeting, maybe it will be changed or something might be happen. Okay. But the form fill up process is going on, so please go and fill up your form. Yeah, that's all. So thank you so much for, and best of luck for your exam.
All the best.
Take care of yourself at this situation. And Mr. Acharya Ganamanohar, are you here? Can you hear me?
So if you don't mind, please give your email ID for us.
Oh,
Jonathan, sir.
yeah, I'll send the notes to the Senate, but anyhow, let me give my email ID.
WhatsApp number can use.
Yeah, that's the email ID. You can
email
always.
ID as given. You can go to the chart. Go to the chart. You can find out. Just note down.
WhatsApp.
Sorry.
Our WhatsApp number, sir.
Oh, what? Okay.
The email ID, please.
No, better. Whatever he wants to write, you write it in the mail. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Please repeat the email ID.
You are also having our email ID.
Yes.
@gmail.com. If you have any doubt, any kind of clarification and any kind of question, you just write to us. Okay, I will just type it here, our email ID once again also.
The Fundamentalism book reference.
Jamie.
Sir Jonathan,
Yes.
when you send your note, okay,
Yes.
if you can just suggest us some kind of books,
Oh, books to read.
that
Yes.
would be very nice, sir. Very kind of you.
Okay. Okay.
Do that,
Yeah.
so
I
that
have.
our students can follow it.
Yes, I have the notes with me now, but I'll just edit the books there in the
Yes, sir.
notes
Yes, sir. You
itself.
can just
Yes.
give a end note of something like that,
Yeah.
so that our students
Okay.
can follow for it.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
then I'll
Yeah.
just going to close the class. Okay, then take care. See
All
you.
the best,
Bye.
everyone.
Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.